Kell Brook versus Frankie Gavin, post-fight review. In my opinion, not an overly entertaining fight to watch, and I've come to the conclusion, no matter what level Frankie Gavin fights at, he won't be in a good fight. The truth is that the guy is so, he does have this level of technical capability. What that means is even against a world-class opponent like Kell Brook, he's kind of elusive enough to an extent that the fight is still boring. He offers nothing offensively. The guy is a very light puncher. The guy really offers sort of amateur tip-tap, powder puff style punches, and there are fighters without punching power with amateur styles who are very entertaining to watch. A guy like Willie Monroe Jr., for example, he's got that kind of tip-tap, fast hand combinations, get in, get out, scoring point style. He doesn't carry power, but his movement is exciting to watch. He throws attractive combinations. He's more pleasing to watch than Frankie Gavin, who is just, I'm afraid, dull in the extreme. And he even made Kell Brook look fairly dull in this fight, to be honest with you. It wasn't an entertaining fight. Brook was fairly dominant, and you kind of felt it was only a matter of time till he landed. And he clearly hurt Frankie Gavin and won by 6th round TKO. Frankie Gavin's post-fight comments were revealing, that he'd never faced someone with the power of Brook. He'd never faced someone who was so strong on the inside in the clinch as Brook. And I think those are two relevant factors. Obviously, Gavin's best opposition is Leonard Bundu and Bradley Skeet, two guys who are known as quite light punchers. So it's perhaps no surprise that Kell Brook was viewed as a big puncher in comparison. But I guess if you can consider that Gavin was dropped heavily by Leonard Bundu, who's known as a light puncher, it's perhaps no surprise that Kell Brook was able to hurt him and essentially to stop him. Kell Brook being so strong on the inside and strong in the clinch is very relevant. He's not a fighter with an advanced inside game, so it's quite beneficial to him that he is so tough and rugged and powerful in the clinch. And obviously that stood him in very good stead before with the likes of Sean Porter. I kind of get the impression a guy like Sean Porter, who's so powerful, would just steamroll through a Frankie Gavin, whereas with Kell Brook he wasn't able to. So it wasn't the most entertaining fight. I think Kell Brook said that he didn't get an adrenaline rush for it, and I think that was the same for everyone watching, to be honest. We know Brook is now a really decent fighter, a solid top 5 welterweight. Realistically, unless he's fighting of a top 10 opposition, it's just going to be routine for him because he's proven at a certain level. Frankie Gavin, for me, a lot of his issues relate to weight. He can't take a punch in the elite of welterweight. Dropped by Leonard Bundu, stopped by Kell Brook. The fact that he's dropped by Leonard Bundu is perhaps the more telling thing, but it's more than that. He can't hurt any opponent. He was unable to hurt the likes of Bradley Skeet. He's just a very light puncher, and the way he was so out-muscled by Kell Brook on the inside, and the size difference was obvious. Gavin steps on the scales at 147, and I know it's not a bodybuilding contest, but he's not overly ripped out. He's not overly cut up. He looks like there's more to come off. And I know he said before he couldn't make 140, but I think for the sake of his career, he needs to consider it, because Kell Brook was so much bigger than him, stronger than him. He was able to manhandle him. He was able to hurt Gavin with ease. And even if Gavin was able to land on Brook with more frequency, you just get the impression that Brook would be able to overpower him, and Gavin wasn't hurting Brook. And this is something Gavin is going to come up against again and again and again if he stays at 147. The guy is so dull to watch. It's going to be really, really hard for Eddie Hearn to sell a Birmingham show with Frankie Gavin versus Chris Van Heerden headlining, and the return of Matthew Macklin for the 9th time on the undercard, and Gamalia fight. It's really going to be hard to sell that card now. Gavin he's just not a good guy to watch. He's not an entertaining guy inside or outside of the ring, I'm afraid. And I'm sure he's a nice chap, but in this business, a mouth like Kevin Johnson or a skill set like Kell Brook is kind of what you need to sell tickets, and he doesn't have either. So where do the guys go from here? From Brook, it was a good performance, good yet not exceptional. Obviously his next fight needs to be against a better opponent, an opponent that's going to continue moving his career in the right direction. For Frankie Gavin, for me it's back to the drawing board. Frankie Gavin is a sort of top 20 level welterweight. We know at the end of the day he's probably a bit above domestic level. We know that if you put him in with the likes of Sam Eggington, he's probably going to have enough to get the job done. But the truth is, nobody really wants to see those fights. I guess the difficulty arises with the fact that if you put him in with anyone in the top 10, he's going to get done. And you're going to have to spend so much money on bringing in a top 10 welterweight. And Gavin is not a big name. It's not worth that expenditure. So, for me, really 140 for Gavin is a key consideration. And at 140, perhaps he could change his style a bit. Perhaps he would be able to hurt opponents. Perhaps he would be stronger on the inside. Perhaps he'd be able to take a shot a bit better. And perhaps we'd see less of this nervous amateur-style boxing. It may be that isn't the case. It may be he's so ingrained into doing what he, fighting how he currently fights that it's too late for him. But for me, it's the only way you can revive what is essentially an underwhelming career at present. That's my thoughts anyway. Let me know your thoughts on this fight. How did you, how did you rate the fight? How did you rate Brook? Where does Gavin go from here? Thanks for watching.